Manny, you said a very provocative statement.
Yeah.
People are okay with self-medicating. Now, I have 11 years clean and sober. I'm a veteran, PTSD, work with natural health and medicine. And so that's a very hot topic for myself, as well as many others who self-medicate. But I think you look like your position was way more than just taking drugs.
Yeah.
It was people numb themselves.
Yeah.
And you help people do that. So it's not just physical. There's more to that. So please share with me, share with the people who are listening, what's the danger of self-medicating? How do we know we're even doing it?
I don't know if I have the answer to that.
All right.
But I will say that I think that it takes a lot of self-awareness to look in the mirror and be like, what are my patterns? And one way that I like to assess myself is, am I functioning out of habit or intention? And that's how I start to realize, how am I living my life day to day? Am I just doing this habitually, or is this actually what I want to be doing?
This is my identity. I like having 7 cigarettes a day.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that's tough. I mean, it's like, and it's also too because the people we hang out with reinforce it.
Right.
They're not helping us out. And I know it's tough, and I'm not saying it's an easy thing, but I'm saying it's very normal to smoke, to consume, to eat bad, because it's available everywhere.
Be on your phone all the time. Self-medicate through technology.
I'm not judging people who do it. I'm saying that they're not aware that there's other outlets. Because even if you think about today, if you wanted to go to a business meeting with the city, most of them revolve around alcohol. They're not going to meet at coffee shops and healthy places where they can eat healthy dishes. Most people don't have healthy outlets. I'm a first-generation Mexican American. Most Latino parties revolve around alcohol, so I see it all the time. You can't move away from it even if you're trying sometimes. So it takes a lot of work to move away from the social fabric that you're used to and to create change. So for me, the reason I put out these videos is showing people, hey, if you tap into yourself, there's ways to create change if you allow yourself to go deeper enough and work on yourself.
So you touched on a couple things.
Yeah.
I want to talk on cultural norms.
Yeah.
Because I'm Mexican American and I also have a very just multicultural background in my family. I mean, you saw my niece and nephew, they're Filipino and other parts of my life. Working in tea, I work with a lot of Asians. I say that because to kind of give me credibility, because I'm going to start talking on cultural norms, and not every culture is healthy. There are some unhealthy cultural things that we as human beings accept. And one of them is a disingenuine, intoxicated, political figure who lies, cheats, and just plays the system. Like, that's culturally appropriate. We're in Los Angeles. It's got the second most indictments in all across the US. It's just norm.
Yeah.
But that's from an ethical, moral standpoint. But then you also have the alcohol, which not just Mexican American, a lot of Latin American community. Indians drink a lot of whiskey, and they have these social constructions of what's acceptable, and it can negatively affect their health. We're going to narrow in now to America, specifically Los Angeles, where it's more important to look healthy than to physically be healthy. That's a big thing.
Yeah.
The public perception is. And so how do you approach someone who, I understand you said you don't judge someone, but obviously someone's coming to you for help. Physically, they're in pain.
Yeah.
How do you approach someone? How do you walk them through the process of saying, hey, you know what? You're very, very obese or overweight, or these health habits are destroying you. You're literally dying.
Yeah. It's tough because it all starts with my very first session, and one of the questions I ask is like, how committed are you to changing? Because it's like, I'm not going to give you anything to do at home if you're not willing to commit to what I have planned for you. And I tell them to be honest with me, like, how far are you willing to go? And that'll always allow me to weed out the people who actually want to go deeper versus people who want me to fix them in one session.
Because a lot of people really don't want help. They just want to...
It's because, yes and no. It's because they don't know how hard it is. Because everything is so easy now. So it's when you tell them it's going to take some time to start to feel better, it's going to take multiple sessions. It's going to take people outside of me It's going to take part of my network, whether it's a psychologist or a hypnotherapist or an acupuncturist or a chiropractor or a doctor.
Or a guy who sells tea.
Or a guy who sells tea. You know, these are all people that I could refer my clients to, and it's a collective effort to bring people back home. But I don't think it happens overnight, and I also think people have to be willing to go through the process because it's dirty, it's messy. It's a process of elimination. If you want to become healthy, you have to start asking yourself, are my friends healthy? Do the people I hang out with, do they go around all your friends and say, hey, I want to become healthy, and ask any of them, and the person who encourages you is actually your friend. Any of the other ones don't actually want you to do better, and that's hard to find a social fabric that's going to support you to change.
Or they're enablers who are already caught up in their own
Yeah.
self-destructive habits.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, when I stopped drinking, and I was drinking between 18 to 22 drinks a day.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the end of my 5th year in the Navy.
Okay. So you were thirsty.
I was 4 deployments in, very disgruntled, and I didn't know actually when I got sober that I was struggling with PTSD. I thought I was just having a real hard time staying sober.
Gotcha.
There's multi-levels to it. But yeah, my own family, and I love my family, okay? It's just this is a cultural thing. Like,
Yep.
no, you don't. So you drink a lot.
Yeah.
You drink a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Let's slow down. And that might work for some people. But I think even their best intentions can enable bad habits to continue and be more self-destructive.
Well, you just said it like what you just said. Did you say you're just drinking? And I think part of being a good friend or helping someone out is being able to call them out in a way that's productive. Say, hey, you know what? You actually feel your best right now. You know, if I was to support you, could I help you change? You know, and I think most of us don't have a counsel like that on our team who could help us elevate. That's why I think it's so difficult. We don't have a tribe.
We're married, right? I thought we were. Our spouses sure do that. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a hot topic that I just don't hear healers discuss. In fact, what I often hear, and you might catch wind of this in the natural, esoteric, very almost borderline occultic.
Yeah.
You have the power to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And to some extent you're communicating that. Like, yeah. But if you are blind to these cultural habits that you just do, that you don't know if it's a choice or it's a habit, you know, then it's going to be a very difficult battle. And for a guy who struggled with addiction, I would say maybe that's true for some people, but some people also stuck in addiction. It doesn't matter how much manifestation of power or your goodness or whatever they believe in. It's just they're essentially just dead.
Yeah.
You know, they're just self-medicating to the extreme
Because of the addiction.
Yeah. But we were talking that just people do that across the board with the food, with the alcohol, with the
Yeah, I think if I look around, I feel like most of us are numb. You know, when I talked about earlier about living in habit versus intention, most of us live habitually without even being aware of that. It's like we wake up and we do the same thing over and over and never ask, is this how I want to organize my life? Is this how I want to live? It's normal to be in pain. It's normal to be eating unhealthy, and it's because it's so accessible. You know, everywhere you go, it's easy to have access to diabetes.
All these vices.
Well, and I say this because, like, and I'm not anti-sugar and I'm not anti any of these things, but if you're not aware of how much you're consuming, it will become a problem. And it's interesting because, you know, it's very normal if you see someone consuming pain medication or even a Snickers or cigarettes, it's normal to be like, hey, that's okay. But we don't ask the question, what are you actually dealing with? How did you arrive there?
People get mad at me when I say, you know, that's high fructose corn syrup. That's diabetes. I mean, but I'm just loud and obnoxious like that. So not everyone can appreciate it.
No, not everyone does.
No. But for those who do, it's a quick wake-up call. Majority of the customers that Zen's Tea House gets who are looking for health solutions have already exhausted the Western medical field. And what I mean by that is they have had a tough lifestyle for the last several years where they are going towards pharmaceutical solutions and not changing their habits. And then they go the natural route and they're presented with this reality that, well, if we're going to heal you naturally, you need to adjust how you live. That's not what Western doctors communicate. they don't even look at you. I have a book called The Holistic Business Handbook. I just it's now available on my website, zensty.com, and talks about the systems in place for doctors to get as many clients or patients within a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
There's literally a field of study. It's called healthcare administration.
Okay.
And it's this MBA program to just make as much money through medical patients, through medical drugs, through the medical system. And what it does is compartmentalizes and says, we're just going to go after the symptom because we can target it, we can make it, make a pill for it, instead of looking at the person holistically and actually asking, who are they hanging out with? What are they doing as a lifestyle, habit, or personal decision? Thank you, Manny.
You're welcome.
I want you to investigate this to yourself, because we all know people who have unhealthy habits. We got our own vices.
Yeah,
I was drinking too much kombucha earlier. All right, thanks, Manny.
All right, man.